Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got another fun one for you today. If I roll down here past these hover effects we did in our last video, got a little parallax section coming in there. I got another little parallax section coming in with the cars. And a little slide in person there, or android. And then finally, we've got a fade in call to action up there. And if I keep rolling down, you'll see the cars are moving at a different rate than the foreground and also a different rate than the background. And that's a really eye-catching thing to have on your site. People are scrolling around, see that sort of thing. It's going to get their attention pretty quickly, which is just what you want. It will work absolutely fine on tablet and mobile as well. What I've done for simplicity is remove the scroll effect on tablet and mobile so they got more room to focus on the cars. If I hit my F12 key, here it is on iPad Air. If we scroll down, there's our little parallax section. There's our cars coming in. There's our little call to action. And as you can see, or as you can't see, remove that little scroll in cyborg lady. And it'll do exactly the same for an iPhone. If we roll down, there it is. We've got our little call to action coming in. And our little cars right there. Really easy to do, no coding at all in this today, so let's get started. I'm going to take my inspector away. Let's enable the visual builder. I've got a link that actually goes down to that section. So let's start from scratch. We'll get rid of this and start from scratch. Let's enable the visual builder. Once enabled, let's go down to where we want to work. And we'll get rid of this section and we'll start from scratch. Blue tab for the section. I hit the trash can, gone. Let's add a new little section between these two so we've got a bit of scroll room. Little blue button to add a new section. I'm going to use a regular section. In mind, I'm going to put 2 columns. You can use whatever modules you want. I've just used a simple call to action for mine. And I think I said drive future today. I'm going to click on the little paintbrush connected to it. It'll take us straight for the styling for the heading there. I used a different font for mine. I used a little Anton. Of course, Divi's got a huge amount of fonts to it. Audition one, just roll your mouse over it. It'll give you an example. I'm going to use the Anton that I used before. That's absolutely fine to me. Just going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll leave it white in colour. And our little call to action button. If we go back to our content, back to the text where we were, we want the button to say test drive, or whatever it is that you want to say, obviously. Now the button won't show up till we add a link for it. Just down below we've got the link. There's where you put the button link. Just throw in a little hashtag as a placeholder because I've got no real button. If you want the whole module to link to somewhere, you can put another link in there or the same link if you want to. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab. That way, your site will stay open. I'm going to just change the background color of this to a sort of opaque black. Background's always under content. If we roll down a little bit more, there we are. Like I say, I'm going to change that to a black. I hit the little 3 buttons, color picker, there's my black. Now, if I left click on the field, the color field, you'll see a little variegated slider. That's opacity. The more you bring it down, the more you can see the background through it. I think I've been using 60 for most of mine, so that when we put an image back there, we'll be able to see it nicely and also read that text. I think it's close enough. Okay, I'm going to actually save that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move it from my left column to my right column because I'm going to have a scrolling effect on the left there. Let's add the image that we want for our section. Blue tab for a section. Going to go in there. Going to add the background image. We've got a whole video about doing backgrounds and you can combine several of these to get some amazing effect. We're going to use an image today, the 3rd tab across. I've got a kind of starry night sky scene there. There it is. What I actually want to do is make this hero section a minimum of 100% of the screen size of whatever device they're looking at it on. So we'll adjust that in a moment. But I also want this to be parallax. And there's two types they give you here. If I switch this parallax effect on, we're still under the image tab here on the backgrounds. True parallax, if I roll up and down, you can see it's actually moving at a different rate from the background. It is moving down, but at a different rate from the rest of the site, which gives a nice little 3D sort of effect. And the other one is what they call CSS parallax, which is also what I call fixed background, or a lot of people call fixed background. Whereas now if we scroll, we've got an absolutely fixed background there, which again is very dramatic. I'm going to leave this one on that one. Then we'll add another row in a minute and use the true parallax on the row that we're going to add for that to get our sort of double parallax effect. So let's do that. Let's save what we've got going on here. But before I do that, I want to, as I mentioned earlier, make this section a minimum height. So still in the section, I'm going to go over to design. I'm going to go down to sizing, and under minimum height, I'm going to type 100 VH. So it's always going to be a minimum of 100 viewable height of whatever screen they're on. Now I've used minimum, so if they're using a very small screen on a phone, it can get bigger if that text needs to expand, so that's fine. But as you can see, we've got a lot of scroll room going on there, which is what I wanted. Fantastic. Well, let's add our second row and our second image here. So I'm going to save my section settings. Remember, there's a blue tab for the section. Green tab is the row. Now I've got to put an image in the back of here, but I want it to stretch the whole of the width of the screen. So I need to make this row the whole of the width of the screen too. So let's go into our row. Background's always under content, remember? We'll add the image that I'm going to add. Third tab again. What I've got is I've got a picture of some cars there that's sort of cut off at the top, and I'm going to have it at the bottom of mine. It's going to come up, and it's also going to be parallax. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to upload it. As you can see, it's there. But as I said, I want this to be full width, and I want this to be down at the bottom at all times. So let's make it full width first. We can do that in design. Remember, we're still in the row. Sizing. Width. We take that all the way up to 100%. I'm going to copy the 100%, Control C. I'm going to paste it in the max width below, or you can just type it in if you prefer. We've now got a full width row. Fantastic. But those little cars are floating up there. I really don't want them floating up there. Like I say, I want this bit to be at the bottom at all times, right down here. So to do that, I'm going to go over to my advanced, still in the row, down to position. I'm going to change it from relative to absolute. I'm going to put it right in the bottom in the middle. If I look down now, our row's right at the bottom there. Fantastic. But our little call to action, I want to be up here somewhere on the desktop. So let's save our little row settings here. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's put this where we want it. I'm going to go into my little module right here. Now to get it up here, we need to add a bit of margin on the bottom. Let's see what happens. We'll go design and spacing. Here's the margin. Let's try giving it 60% on the bottom. 60 and a percent sign. What that done is it's pushed it up here, which is about where I want it. Got a nice bit of scrolling room still there. Fantastic. Now I want it off the side just a little bit. Let's give it perhaps 20% margin on the right hand side. Now while we're in here, we can adjust what it does on tablet and mobile too. So that's in exactly the same right place that I want it for desktop. Let's check it on tablet. We can do that. This is common to all Divi modules. If you roll over the dart writing within, you'll see some little icons appear. If you roll over, get the little phone icon up. We can check it on tablet. That's fine, but of course I don't want it over to the left on the tablet. And so let's perhaps give it 10% either side on tablet. If I hit the chain there, it'll do 10% right. Great, that's in the middle. And for mobile, probably exactly the same. Go back to where we were. That's fine for mobile. And also, the text itself, let's go to our design up to text. It's in the middle right now, which is fine on mobile. Then it's fine on tablet. But on desktop, we go back down to where it is. I actually want that to be right aligned over here, I think. So on desktop, let's put it right aligned. Fantastic, just what I wanted. Okay, well, let's save that. Now we got that top CSS Parallax section at the back there, which is staying put. This second section here, I'd actually like to make parallax, so it just moves at a slightly different rate than this, and a slightly different rate from our background here. So to do that, remember this car picture, or this bottom half of this picture is in our row. Green tab for a row, which we made full width here. So I'm going to go into the row. Background's always under content. I'm going to select that image again. This time, I'm going to hit use parallax effect. But I want it to be true parallax. So it's actually going to move now. If you look at this section below, it's moving at a different rate from that and a different rate from our top there. So we've got kind of a double parallax thing going on, which in itself is very eye-catching. Great. Well, that's working fine. Finally, I'd like to have that sort of cyborg woman come in and look at this sort of sign saying, drive the future today. So remember, we put two columns in our row here. We can add another module to our left-hand column. I'm going to use a simple image module for mine. We'll add the image. I've got this crazy cyborg woman that I created with Night Cafe there. You can find a link to that down below. It's great for AI images. I'm going to upload that image. I've moved this across. There she is right there. Now what I want to do is kind of position her. When we hover over, it says cyborg. That's actually the name of the image itself. If you don't want that to appear when they hover over it, go over to advanced, down to attributes, and there it is. You can change it as something else, or you can simply delete it and you won't see that. Great. Let's make her the size I want her. And then we'll start the actual scroll effect itself. So I'm actually going to use transform to make her the size I want. Still in the image, I've gone to the design tab down to the bottom to transform. First one's scale, which will make her bigger or smaller. You know, drag her up till she's about the size I want it. I want it almost fill. I don't want it to spill out the top there. And I don't want any gap on the bottom. So a little bit bigger. And I'm going to pull her down a little bit so there's no gap on the bottom. So the next tab across is translate, which means move basically. So if I pull this down there, she should pull down to the bottom. No gap on the bottom. Now, because we're making this bigger than our row, and it's going to start from way over to the left side out of screen or off canvas there, we want to make sure we hide any overflow from our row, from our section here, so that Google won't say your content's spilling out wider than your screen size, which they sometimes do. So we've got things working great there. And what we want is for her to slide in. She wants to come in from the left and stay there. So while we're in the image, we can do that with scroll effects. Advanced, roll down. Right at the bottom, you'll find scroll effects. And this is common to all modules and rows, sections and rows too. First one's vertical motion. Don't want any vertical motion, that's up and down. I just want side to side motion. So the next one is horizontal motion. I'm going to hit the enable horizontal motion trigger here. Starting off on the left there, that's okay. But I want it to be out of sight. And I only want it to come in about this far, really. So down the bottom, I'm going to make that a negative. We'll try try -6 and see what happens. -6. Yep, she's just off screen. 50%, she's going to be right in the middle. We don't want to go back off screen. Let's put a 0 on the right-hand side. What we've got here is a viewport bottom and viewport top slider. Viewport bottom is the bottom of the screen. So I'm having mine start negative over here somewhere. Halfway up the screen, 50%, it should be exactly where we put it initially, which is, well, I think I'd like to see a little over to the right. So let's maybe make that 3. As you can see, as I'm doing it, let's actually make that a 4. A little bit too far there, mate. Don't want to touching this thing here, so let's take that back down to a 2 and see what happens. That's going to work fine, I think. I don't want her going backwards again, so perhaps I can either make that as 3 to make her go forward a bit more as she gets more to the top of the screen there, something like that. That's going to work fine. So we've got 3 different things going on there at the moment. We've got our fixed background or CSS parallax background. We got our true parallax image with the cars on it. And we got our little scroll effect with this lady right here. Now, just to top it off, if you wanted to, you could go to tablet and mobile by clicking the little tablet symbol there. Remember, if you don't see it, just hover over the writing, it'll pop up there. And you can adjust these so that she comes in on tablet and mobile. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take mine away on tablet and mobile so that she's not there at all and they can concentrate on the cars. So let's do that. Still in advanced, we go up to the top, we've got visibility right here. I'm going to disable this on tablet. I'm going to disable it on phone. You'll still see it when we're in the builder. It'll be grayed out slightly on tablet and phone, but let's just take a look at what we've got on tablet and phone because we may want to adjust things. So I'm happy with the way that it is on desktop, so it's jumping around there just a little bit as we're in the builder end and I put my mouse on it. As I mentioned earlier, important thing we want to do is make sure there's no overflow on the section for when we push her across to the left there. Blue tab for the section, advanced. Again, in the visibility where we hid this image, we've got horizontal and vertical overflow. We need to just switch both of those to hidden. That'll solve that little problem with Google telling you your content's too wide. Great. Well, now let's take a look on tablet and mobile. Hit the little purple button. We'll hit the little tablet view. That's okay. I don't think I want so much padding on the top, and I want this text central on this view. Where it actually is fine. And as you can see, that little lady sort of grayed out there. She's not going to be even visible on this. So I think where it is fine, but we want to go into this and make sure on tablet view, just on tablet view, design, text, that our text is going to be in the middle on tablet. It's fine. Now let's take a look on mobile view. And that's fine too. We're going to come in. It's going to be parallax. Forget the little lady there. She's not going to be there on mobile. And it's in the right position for me. They can see the car and both parallax effects going on there. Perfect. Okay, well, let's go back to desktop. I'm going to do one more thing and we're done. Save my changes from... Actually, I want to be in the call to action. What I'm going to do is have this fade in. So it's not going to be visible, perhaps till they get to 50% of the screen, and then fully visible at the top here. So to do that, I'm sure you figured this out already. We're in our call to action, this little module right here. Advanced. Go to scroll effects. Third one along is fading in and out. We hit the switch. Remember, we've got our viewport bottom, viewport top. Want it invisible at the bottom. I don't want it to be visible at all till it's about 50%. So I'm going to keep it at 0% up to 40. I'm going to put a 0 in there. This is the amount that you can see of it. 0 is invisible, 100 is fully visible. And then about 50 or 60%, I'm going to bring this up so it's 100% visible when it gets to 60% of the screen. If I roll down there, invisible, 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 starting to fade in, fully visible. Perfect. If we go the other way, it'll do the opposite. So we should be good to go. Let's save our changes here. We'll save the page changes. Publish if you're ready. We'll exit the Visual Builder. And if we roll down to that section, here it is coming in here. There's our little cars, there's the lady popping in, there's our little call to action. If we keep scrolling, you can see that bottom parallax section is moving at a different rate. And as I say, that's a really eye-catching thing to have on your site. This sort of thing happens, it's going to get people's attention really quickly. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.